the power of Grasshopper is that besides being able to design it really well, it's also the ability to control it. Parametric thinking in a way is a way of having the knowledge to break it down in smaller parts and solving them in a sequence.
Hello and welcome to Architecture Beyond. I'm your host, Brendan Aaron Gibbs, and I'm here with Arie Willem de Jongh, and he's with Think Parametric leadership team, and he's going to talk with us today as we're talking about Grasshopper, parametric design, and pretty much insights for the next year. So glad to have you on. Welcome to the show, Arie.
Hi, Brendan. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. From our previous conversation, we were talking a lot about Rhino. Rhino 8 is out, but some of the day's questions are really going to look at, what does it mean for 2024 with things that are coming out with AI, different advanced, what's really value about it. So my first question is, how does learning parametric design with tools like Grasshopper now really enhance an individual's career prospects in the AEC industry?
I think the main thing professionals and students can improve themselves by or the benefits from learning parametric design is, I think, at its core, it's about problem solving. I think it's, besides, of course, learning a software tool and learning the specifics, it's like parametric design and parametric thinking in a way is for me at its core, it's a way of taking a problem and having the knowledge to break it down in smaller parts and solving them in a sequence. So it's a way of basically tackling complex designs and being able how to deal with them, let's say. And of course, then you have the tools like Grasshopper. And I think if someone really understands the program, they can increase their efficiency and their productivity by a lot. I think at its core, that's what I believe.
I guess since you've really tracked Grasshopper for a long time, and there are new versions iterating out, I guess could you go through the timeline a little bit of where Grasshopper was, where it is now, and the opportunities, I guess, with it?
When I started using Grasshopper, it was everything was still in beta. They just were out of the explicit history part, which was even more basic. But back then it was just basically a glorified macro. A macro is basically just like a set of instructions that you run in sequence, really basic. And that was what was Grasshopper back then as well. But even then, because most of the architectural tasks you perform in an office, a lot of them are just repetitive things that you have to, do over and over again. Like, I don't know, drawing parking spots or numbering elements, tagging stuff, putting stuff in certain layers, or, like silly things, right? Not actually the design stuff. If I do a task 3 times and then the 4th time, I'm already starting to think hey, is there more a more efficient way of dealing with these things? And that's kind of how in university I already got taught, luckily, these kind of tools. So I started to applying in my work, and that's how I got more into Grasshopper. And little by little, that program also evolved into being able to handle more complex stuff, also being able to generate more complex geometry, non-curvilinear shapes and everything. Of course, everyone can design those shapes because there's other software that does that very well, like Blender or Maya, things like that. But I think the power of Grasshopper is that besides being able to design it really well, it's also the ability to control it, being very precise, what you input, what you're getting out of it, and being able to do something with it, right? Being able to rationalize certain geometry, to be able to send it to manufacturers and check with them, hey, this is what I have in mind. What do you think? No, you have to, the maximum size of a panel is this and this, and then you go back to Grasshopper, you can change the size. And I mean, besides doing really complex stuff, also the ability to have really precise control. I think that's how Grasshopper, for me, has evolved over the years a lot. Of course, they have included more things, also being able to visualize directly in your viewport if you were designing something, getting certain data out of it, like square meters and things like that, GFA. And also other plugins that are right now being developed for Grasshopper to be able to do environmental studies or constructural analysis, even generative algorithms, you name it. So I'm really excited to see it evolve over the years, and every release, more components being implemented and things to play with. So yeah, that's more or less my own experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot more now. I'm seeing definitely in terms of how it's also being interoperable, with Revit and other packages. I thought that was,
Oh, definitely.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
really excited for like what's going to happen over the year. Now, can you explain the role of parametric design and how is it still increasing productivity now that definitely more people are using? Because I've met engineers, I've met of course architects, contractors who are getting into Grasshopper, Rhino. How is the role of parametric design increasing productivity?
Uh, it's just that, like, you could do the work, like someone who is skilled in knowing parametric tools. I think he is like at least 2 to 3 times more productive, because it's not actually the design part that's going to help you that much, because as I say, of course, that needs human creativity, trial and error, things like that. But the moment you get to well, you have to just do the mundane drafting things, or rationalizing geometry, like instead of doing that manually, like if you know parametric tools, you can be so much more productive. And also, if a change occurs later on in the design process, I think later on we're going to talk a little bit more about that. You can go back, in Grasshopper, just change a variable, and it ripples through the whole thing, and you already get your construction documents out with that change, let's say. And before, you'd have to do that all manually. Also taking into account, you have people make mistakes, human error, so that's also like a big factor why you're so much more efficient and productive by knowing these tools. And for me, I think the main thing of parametric design is just that you have more time to focus on the actual design part, and spend more time of thinking about, hey, how is this details going to look? How is this corner going to look? How is it going to hit the floor? How is this wall going to hit the roof? And do some options design and everything, like the things architects love to do. And the stuff we don't love to do is like the drafting part, the mundane, boring part, let's say. Leave that up to the parametric tools. That's how I see parametric design really improving productivity for architects and designers.
Well, that's good. I definitely understand that the making it into a tool versus a script, like a text script, or or the manual elements of moving pieces. It's trying to bring all that together with visual scripting. Now, the Think Parametric platform is helping people, in terms of how has it evolved, really, teaching the top software to now saying, how can these be packaged together? Because, like, there are a lot of different roles that companies are needing all across AEC that need a very particular skill set. I guess, how does Think Parametric curriculum, like, how is that, like, being addressed in the platform?
We try to be on top of the latest technological like developments that happens in the building industry, and because it moves at quite a fast pace, I think a lot of firms, because the architecture industry, unfortunately, is a bit of a dinosaur. Like, it moves really slow in the way it adopts and uses new methodologies, new technologies, things like that. So I think that's why we found our niche, to kind of explain to firms like, hey, don't worry about like your the training of your employees. We're gonna take care of that. We have this platform that we have the latest technologies that we teach, and we also have solutions in place for firms to kind of track their activity of their employees if they decide to use our platform for training. So our value proposition is for organizations, basically like, hey, we take care of your training needs if it comes like for your design team, right? Everyone involved in the design process, and we will make sure that everyone has a certain level of skill set, so your team can be way more productive and efficient, and you can just focus on design. You don't have to worry about if everyone has the same needs, because that's one of the issues. When I was still working in an architectural firm, unfortunately, there's always these bottlenecks of people that know certain tools, certain technologies, and people who unfortunately are not that skilled yet. So they weren't able to translate their ideas they had into something tangible, something that you can present to the client or to to the firm. So it always runs through a certain couple of people that have to do these things. So that creates like a bottleneck.
The parametric god in the firm, right?
Kind of. So the goal, like the value proposition for firms we have is like, you know what? We don't want to have these bottlenecks. We want to actually have all your team at least have a base level of design. I don't want them to be like, you know, highly, how do you call this? Like really gifted in parametric design, like really go in depth. Like, no, I just want them to be able to know what it is, being able to open a definition and know at least the basics. So there's no bottlenecks like, hey, can you help me? I don't know how to, you know, open this definition, open this file. Like, I don't know Grasshopper at all. Like, we want to eliminate those bottlenecks. So we think this way we can make an organization way more efficient and productive in a way. Yeah.
And that's also really good for people who are really expert at it, because now they're not like speaking a different language to maybe the production team.
Exactly. And they can focus on their own work as well, because usually it takes a lot of their own time out of the day as well, just helping other people to figure stuff out. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword in a way. That yeah,
that's really good, and I love that focus, because it's addressing like a real-time need. You know, it's not just a new tool. Now it's part of our day-to-day lives. In what ways does parametric design is definitely it's now part of a larger framework of interoperability, productivity. In what ways does parametric design contribute to making those new complex projects more feasible?
Well, like you mentioned, it's becoming such a big part of design firms that like there's no escaping from it now. It's not like, oh, it's just a fad, it's gonna blow over. I think it's here to stay. And also clients, they get also used to firms being able to deliver projects more fast. I guess that's the other side of the coin of parametric design, like who gets the benefit of all those savings. But yeah, I think besides being more productive and efficient, I think it also really helps with how do you call this? Like removing human error. Like if you set up a project like parametrically, which of course BIM is already in a way parametric, you remove a lot of human error. So you're going to save a lot of cost, a lot of material waste. You know, more happy client because there's not going to be a lot of delays. So in that way, I think it really contributes to just being able to deliver projects on time, within budget, like these things. Yeah.
So I've definitely gone a little bit back and forth between AEC and parametric design. But, you know, it's in terms of getting back to, you know, it's like it's getting back to architect. Like the idea is, how does it work and how does it help architects? You know, what are some new ways of leveraging it for the leveraging of parametric design for cost-effective project planning and execution? So I guess that's including different phases of design.
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways you could use parametric design. Of course, it's really good for shape generation, which would be very beneficial in the schematic design phases. But I think the real power is, like I mentioned, is just automating mundane tasks. You know, removing human error is one of the main ones, but also just being able to be so quick in applying changes if needed. You know, because there's always this back and forth with the client, and I think that back and forth, the interoperability that you mentioned, being able to really quickly get geometry in and out of Rhino to Revit or vice versa, right? When you change phases from schematic design to design development and even construction documents, I think it like those kind of things, like the boring stuff is my point, right? Because I think most people, when you talk about parametric design, they think about, you know, Sahadi buildings, non-curvilinear shapes and stuff like that. And a lot of people, they still assume that, oh, that's not what I do. I just make, you know, rectangular shapes, nothing fancy. I don't need parametric design. But I think that's actually a really big mistake, because, like I mentioned, I think the main strength of it comes precisely in those boring tasks that can be automated, can be spit out more fast. And yes, there's also the option to be able to do like curvilinear shapes and be able to control them, which is the fun part and the beautiful part. But for me, personally, that's just like a small part of the power of parametric design. So I think in that way, people can really leverage that strength in their offices or in their personal career. Yeah.
I think that's great in terms of it's capturing both the skill set of maybe the more artist and the more producer. Can you talk about the key career skills? I know that I've talked before with you about like maybe the profiles. Um, what are those career, key career skills, and how does that connect to those professional profiles? Like if it's a parametric designer, like it's a facade designer, how would you link those?
Yeah, I think job roles in architecture, they've been like changing a lot, especially over the last, I don't know, let's say 20, 30 years, mainly because of technology. Because I think before, you had architectural drafters who would just draft all day. Then you had some visualization guys who did stuff in Photoshop. And, basically there was, and of course the boss, he would draw the sketch, he would just pass it along and like, hey, make me my stuff. Like that's more or less like, yeah, the old school way, let's say. But I think the new architectural designer, from my point of view, I think they should already have those skills. Like they should know at least a little bit of interoperability, visualization, parametric design. I think they should already know these tools, because they'll become like a more all-round contributor to the whole architectural process. Like I mentioned, like it's already part of the whole like field. So if you don't know at least like the basics, I think you're going to be left behind. Not knowing these skills. Let's say that's my own personal view.
You're listening to Architecture Beyond, an exciting new podcast about life after architecture and the stories of those taking their gifts to impact the world beyond the studio. Today we're talking with Think Parametric co-founder and parametric expert Arie Willem de Jongh about new opportunities with parametric design and Grasshopper for 2024. And don't miss out on the Think Parametric end-of-year sale ending in January. Visit thinkparametric.com to learn more. If you are interested in learning more about architecture technology and the latest industry methods, check out our sponsor, thinkparametric.com.
How do tools like Grasshopper still play a lead in helping those problem solving and decision making tasks and projects? Because I think it's like Grasshopper is still like even now all the tool sets out, Grasshopper still comes to the top.
Like the firms we have the honor of and the honor of working with, they all are very like tech savvy, and for them it became as normal as like using AutoCAD, for instance, or just like a simple program from like an old relic from before. Like those tools already became so ingrained in the whole design process that it's not even that people don't even realize like, oh, hey, what is this tool? So yeah, and the way because of course they work in teams, so they have to share the files and everything. So they have set up this whole framework of doing that, and it's like this new way of working basically. So yeah, it became almost ubiquitous, like in a short period of time. Yeah.
I would hit to learning about Grasshopper. Right now, you guys talked about a little bit before that certification course for Grasshopper, which is going to the next level. Where are some places a lot of people are missing with Grasshopper? Because some people, they learned it like a few years ago, so now they're still using it, but like it's changed. So what are some of the new features, the new needs, the reason why people really need to get certified?
Especially in the geometry creation part, I think they've included some new sets of tools that be able to, like there's this new geometry feature in Rhino called subdivision geometry. And Grasshopper has implemented also like a lot of nice components that lets you able to manipulate and edit and create these kind of geometry. So in that way, if you're interested in doing more curvilinear shapes and being able to control them precise, Grasshopper is really like improved in that as well. But I would say not just Grasshopper. What I really like is that the whole ecosystem around it. Like there's so many plugins and tools and packages that you can install, and that builds upon the power of parametric design. I think that way I really enjoyed like Grasshopper grow, like the ecosystem. Let's say there's just so much, and the community is so helpful and friendly. I guess for me personally, that's what I enjoyed the most over the last years, looking at Grasshopper as a tool. Yeah.
And that's cool. That's like, for instance, the maybe Apple's store is more valuable because who's creating for it. Right now, it's bringing everyone's bringing an incorporation. So Grasshopper is bringing a hub for developers. It's bringing a hub for the major platforms, which also connects over into Revit. So yeah, it's making a bigger party. So like we all benefit as people in the AEC industry. Can you also discuss some of the sustainability aspects of parametric design that's really coming to now sort of shape what software, how architects are thinking?
Yeah, like I mentioned, like all the tools that right now are being built on top of Grasshopper. One of them, for instance, is a tool called the Ladybug tool suite. There's others as well, but this one is nice because it's open source to use, and that one allows you to do analysis like environmental studies, radiation study, direct sunlight, shading studies in a really early stage of your design process, which means that you can already check if you just have a massing, like a really basic massing studies, you can already check like, hey, what is the effect on the environment? What's going to be the sunlight ratio, radiation studies, shading, all these things. So, and in case you can already like relate it with the client and already make changes, because of course, in the beginning of the design process, it's so easy to make changes, but the further along you go, the more harder it becomes in terms of time and cost and everything, the more fixed your project becomes, right? And before we didn't have these tools. So by the moment we could do these studies, like the project was more or less already fixed, right? So right now we have the liberty to already, if a change is needed, we can already do it way earlier in the design process. So in that way, I think we can be more sustainable and more efficient, more productive during the whole design process. Yeah, it's incredible.
As we've sort of talked about that, in terms of definitely Grasshopper playing a key role, there are also some courses. I know you help sort of brainstorm and figure them out for different AI tools that are coming out. And though Grasshopper is not directly AI, it's definitely, it helps leading, like leading the way, preparing the way, especially with a lot of AI tools. I've been looking at recently. TestFit is coming out with a lot of stuff. There's SpaceMaker / Forma for Revit.
There's Sidewalk, Delph. Yeah.
What are your perspectives on how those are working with things like parametric design? Because the idea is, in some sense, they've sort of taken their own plugin out and come back in. What are your thoughts for the prospects of that? And also, I guess I know since Think Parametric is coming up with a course for Midjourney, it's also your I know you can't tell the secrets of what's coming out, but
no, we can share.
Okay, yeah,
we can share it. Yeah, no, I can share real quick. Yeah, we have a Midjourney course coming out, specifically focused on architects and designers, so how they can use it in their own design process. Where the strengths and the weaknesses of the program lie, and it's gonna be an amazing course by Diego Lezama. He's a professional working in the field, also using the latest technologies. He's used Midjourney a couple of times on his own projects and everything, and it's just amazing. Like the speed of which AI has improved just in 1 year, it's absolutely stunning. And I think it's a bit soon to tell, especially in which areas AI is going to excel for architects. But right now, what I can tell you is that especially in the conceptual and schematic design phases, like the brainstorm session, as in, okay, we're going to do some massings, right? Real quick massings, you're just going to check which direction we're going to take. And do like quick visualizations and stuff. I think Midjourney, it's such a powerful tool. Like you can have one person, again, like in terms of productivity, you can have one person just do the work of 10 guys easily, just by knowing how the tool works and just like generating like mood board images, using like a mass, and then like checking like, hey, what would be like a nice style or a nice, like some materials we can use, things like that. It's really, really powerful. And then of course there's also the other thing which I found really interesting is, I think TestFit amongst others also do that, is be able to use AIs and machine learning techniques to generate floor plans, which is another task that, I mean, it's sometimes interesting to do because it has to do with design, obviously, like, you know, making a layout from a floor plan. But if you have to do that every day, because let's say your office only does a certain type of building, let's say only office designs, let's say, I mean, there's not much design liberties you can have, right? It's always more or less the same. So using a tool like that, just you specify like an outline and the entrance of your office and where the windows are, and then it just spits out floor options. I think that's another really powerful way that AI can be used to help architects. Yeah,
I've seen some of the like components of that. There's a Think Parametric course that is really impactful that talked about using a sketch tool where it's like live figuring out how to divide a space, how to plan it. That's something now that they're just built in, but they don't give you the parametric code with like a lot of these engines. They just sort of let you just sort of draw lines. So there's a level of control that's definitely missing in terms of the fact that it's really performing analysis on that. So there's a like the Midjourney side, DALL-E side that's more visual, and that course is launching like really this week and the next week. So when this show is going, like people are listening, it's available on the site, and it's really great. But also there's that show side, but as well there's that sort of information side that deals with like numbers and code and such. So, and I think again, like parametric design is still at the center of play if someone is developing a unique tool that can inform and think that way. Is like it. So that's even part of the thing with parametric design, like how much of parametric design or how much is AI is actually a parametric design, equation.
AI is. Compared with parametric design, I mean, of course, parametric design is just design with variables. Like it's that's just what it means.
With test fit's not really AI. That's the one thing I was partially saying that. Well, it's more parametric design than AI.
Generative design. I mean, it's the blending of all the terms. Now, I think right now they have some AI features in there. I think I'm not sure, but you're right. It's more parametric design than AI yet. Yeah.
Looking at AI, and I'm sure we'll get better definitions as we talk with some of the creators like Diego. One of the things I was seeing is for Galapagos, and you taught about Galapagos, and that's machine learning. That's one of the things at the center. Like how far has AI come from like just that Galapagos going through iterations to AI it's like, the language model is what's, I think, the key term, but it's still doing similar things.
That's right now what AI is. Like it's basically trained on a huge set of information. The large language models, the LLM, what's usually been referred to when people mention ChatGPT. So what it basically does is that it knows very well how to predict the next word with a high probability. And that's more or less similar with the images, right? That it's been trained like the Midjourney and DALL-E and Stable Diffusion. They've been trained on a huge set of images, so they know like when you type something in, they know how to like by checking all those images, they know like how to generate an image for you. But how parametric design works, and also like Galapagos, which is evolutionary solving, it's way more basic in a way. Because Galapagos, what it does is just it just runs through a lot of variables really quick, and it tries to optimize the value. So it checks the value like, hey, is it here? Oh, the value is lower. Oh, I'm gonna go here. Oh, the value is higher. I'm gonna go there. Like it just does it really like a lot, and then it just checks if the value goes up and down, and then it somehow stabilizes. Just saying it really plainly. But yeah, the models that are now coming out, like actual AI with neural networks and things like that. That is it's called what is it? Unsupervised? No, it's supervised. Yeah, because the other ones are unsupervised learning, but the other ones like that are coming out are supervised learning. So basically, it's basically a bit creepy because the model like learns from itself. So it's like it has an output, it checks itself. Oh wait, like I have to go back, and then it kind of learns, and then it does the whole fucking loop. So then it runs like 1,000,000 times, so it kind of optimizes itself to get like the best results. I think that's the main difference right now. But like I mentioned, like for architects, like right now at this specific moment, I think Midjourney, like especially in the schematic and conceptual design phases, it's really powerful. But what is going to come out like later, oh man, it's either going to be it's going to break architecture in a way. Like if it can just like one click and a building comes out, like how you say now, like hey, I want, like when you type in Midjourney, I want to have a donkey on a dragon riding a rainbow in the sky, something like that. Boom, and it does it like perfectly, right? Like I have no doubt that at some point in the future we're going to be able to do that with buildings as well. Like, hey, I want an office building, 4 floors, give me this, give me that, this style, Baroque style, this material. Like you just write a really detailed explanation, and it just spits out a building directly in Revit, in BIM, all the walls, all the ceilings, everything solved. I have no doubt that at some point that is going to come. It just will be very interesting to see that journey towards that point, and how firms are going to react, how students are going to react, universities. It's going to change everything in my point of view. Yeah.
Well, I think Parametric is definitely helping people learn that AI now. It's like, again, it's a little unsure how we would even learn a lot of this stuff coming out, but parametric design is still really a key part of understanding how to control it, because the idea is you don't just go to like a AI model and then immediately you're just writing words and figuring out how to control it. You have to actually have system. Yeah.
That's the thing, because parametric design is also relatively new. Like if you go back, like it's from the 60s, 70s and stuff, but like when it's been like being used by mainstream architects, maybe since 20, 25, 30 years, like when it kind of started. And it has been culminating like in the last 10, 5 years, something like that. So it's really relatively new. So now again, there's this other tool like AI, how people are going to incorporate it, how it's going to work together with parametric design, how it's going to append, our traditional design methods, which were first, like, I even remember when I went to university, which is not even that long ago, I still had to draw by hand. Like I still had to make like, well, on the big tables with the, with the rulers and stuff. And now, like, if you go now to universities and you tell that, it's like, well, how old are you? How old are you? Like 105? So in that sense, like technology it's really accelerating in the way we work, the way we perceive design, and so yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. Yeah.
That's going to be probably even another episode. Also, there's a lot of these conversations like are going to be also like a lot of great content on the Think Parametric blog, because I write there, and it's talking about issues like AI, like useful things for architects. So the idea is a lot of people can also be finding that this year. And there's a lot of great content right now as well, and so as people are tracking, the viewers, everyone can just be like, just, Think Parametric definitely wants to play a role, right? Because people are looking at these things, they're reading these things. So the idea is, as you're giving the base of skills, it's also like the idea is we're tracking. I think that's a great part of leadership. I really think Parametric in terms of engaging those topics, both in courses, both in blogs, and so that's a great thing.
Yeah, we're trying to be on top of all the recent developments in technology, and just try to teach students and professionals, these new tools. Yeah, because I think, like, to its core, I think we can just make people more productive, more efficient, and help them with their careers, and help organizations, just deliver better projects and on time, within budget. All these things. Yeah.
Think Parametric has a coupon that's coming for the new year, for 2024. I guess give an invite for all that.
Yeah, we're having a coupon coming out in the coming weeks for Christmas and New Year. So if you want to upgrade your skills or learn some new ones, you're invited. thinkparametric.com.
Okay, that's awesome. And I guess the Grasshopper certification course, it's live. The Midjourney is live. I guess last word sort of to invite people for 2024. Could you, share that little pitch?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's never too late to learn new skills or upgrade like existing ones. We have courses from the very, very beginner level to all the way to really advanced ones. So like, don't be scared. We'll take you through the whole design journey, learning new tools, because it can be scaring to know where to start. But yeah, we have all the tools in place, and yeah, we love to teach you new skills.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Arie, for joining us on Architecture Beyond. I know there's a lot of great things coming in 2024, so as people are amping. I did do this as an extra show. Want to definitely rush out because there's a great coupon to get involved with Think Parametric coming up. And a lot of people are definitely taking advantage of that. So I'm inviting you to that. Hope you guys have a great holidays. Thanks for joining us this year. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. This is again Brandon with Architecture Beyond, my guest Arie. So check the links in the description to get involved for more.
If you are interested in learning more about architecture technology and the latest industry methods, check out our sponsor, thinkparametric.com, and check out the Think Parametric newsletter This Week in Architecture.
This has been Brandon and the Architecture Beyond crew. Catch you in the next episode.